So, you want to be a columnist? Or, maybe just someone who's a more persuasive, respected voice online? It's a huge responsibility. Today we're going to distill some incredible advice from a pro on how to do it right. And it all kicks off with one central, tricky problem.
Look, the whole game really comes down to this one big tension. On one hand, you've got to say something interesting. If you don't, nobody's going to read it. But on the other hand, you have to say something true to have any credibility at all. The real magic and the really hard part is finding a way to do both of those things at the exact same time.
And this quote just nails the problem, doesn't it? That sweet spot, that overlap between interesting and true, is tiny. It's so tempting to go for the easy clicks with some wild hot take, but that can blow up in your face and wreck your reputation. The other path is to be careful, to be correct, and to build that long-term credibility that actually means something.
That is the million-dollar question, right? How in the world do you manage to say something that is both compelling and correct? Well, lucky for us, the source material lays out 11 key principles to get you there. And we've organized them into a clear, three-part roadmap for you.
We're going to tackle this in 3 big chunks. First up, we'll talk about the foundations of credibility, the stuff that makes people trust you. Then, we'll get into the actual craft to persuasion, how to build a killer argument. And finally, we'll cover your pact with the reader, your ultimate duty to your audience.
All right, let's dive into our first pillar, lasting credibility. This is all about the internal work you have to do. Before you even type a single word to persuade someone else, you have to build a rock-solid foundation of trust. Let's see what that looks like.
Now this is a tough one. It's so easy to call out your opponents, right? That's the low-hanging fruit. The real test of your intellectual honesty, the real gut check, comes when you have to critique your own side, your own friends.
It's a huge risk, for sure, but it's one you absolutely have to take. Because the second you hold your own team to the same high standard, something amazing happens. You basically short-circuit the partisan brain of the person reading. Critics who would normally just write you off suddenly have to pause and actually consider what you're saying. It is the bedrock of real credibility. So here's the thing that trips a lot of people up. Real strength doesn't come from pretending you have all the answers. It's about being intellectually honest. Being willing to just say, you know what, I don't know, or admitting you got something wrong. Or, and this is a big one, changing your mind when the facts change. These aren't signs of weakness. They are total power moves that signal true confidence and authority. Okay, so once you've built that solid foundation of credibility, we can move on to Pillar 2, the craft of persuasion. Now we're shifting from the internal principles to the external, nitty-gritty work of actually building an argument that people can't just wave away.
Here is a super powerful mental tool you can use, the put the shoe on the other foot test. We all do this naturally. When the other side does something, it's a massive scandal, an outrage. But when our side does the exact same thing, well, it's a nuanced action, isn't it? Before you hit publish, you have to ask yourself, how would I talk about this if my own team did it? Applying that same level of skepticism to everyone is key.
The 24/7 news cycle is it's a tornado of noise, right? Outrageous tweets, silly gaffes, political drama. That stuff is easy to cover. But the things that actually change people's lives, that's policy. Your job, your real value, is to cut through that noise, dig into that complicated new bill or regulation, and explain to people what it actually means for them. Don't just amplify the drama, explain the stakes.
The actual writing part? It really boils down to this super simple but incredibly powerful sequence. First, you can't write clearly if you're not thinking clearly. So map out your argument first. Then, you need to over-research. Gather way more material than you'll ever need. Why? Because if you only have just enough to fill the column, your argument is probably pretty thin. This way, you're using the best of your material, not all of it.
And all of this leads us to our final and maybe most important pillar, your pact with the reader. This is all about your fundamental responsibility, your duty, to the person on the other side of that screen.
You have to be crystal clear on your objective. It's easy to provoke people. It's hard to persuade them. Think of provocation like hot sauce. A tiny bit can add some kick and make a point stronger, but if the hot sauce becomes the main course, all you're doing is burning people's mouths. You're just making them angry, not changing any minds.
And this, oh man, this is a rule you should tattoo on your brain. The burden of making things clear is always, always on you, the writer. It is so easy to blame the audience and say, they just didn't get it. But no, if well-meaning readers are confused, that's a signal that your writing wasn't clear enough, period.
And hey, a little PSA while we're at it. Can we please ban this phrase from the internet? Never ever end an article or a column like this. It is the laziest cliche in the book. Your job is to offer analysis, to have a point of view, not to state the blindingly obvious fact that we don't know what the future holds. So as we wrap this up, when you strip everything else away, it all comes back to this. What are your core, unshakable values? What are the lines you simply will not cross? You have to know what you stand for, and, more importantly, why you're bothering to write in the first place.
And that's the question I really want to leave you with. I'm going to turn that right back to you. It doesn't matter if you're a professional journalist, a student, or just somebody firing off a post online. What are your principles? Because knowing the answer to that is what will make your voice stronger, more persuasive, and ultimately a whole lot more valuable.
Because, at the end of the day, that is the whole point of this. We shouldn't be communicating just to fill up space or to make more noise in an already noisy world. The goal is to add real, actual value to the conversation. And that is a mission worth taking very, very seriously.